5 and 6 tours, combat tours. That's not just stressful on our men and women, it's stressful on their families as well. And we got to do better by them. So I think there's a paradigm shift as far as how do we now develop the military to fight on this new 21st century battlefield. How do we introduce our forces? And that's what we got to get to.
The President's administration is looking to extend the December 31st, 2011 timeframe for leaving Iraq. Do you think they've made a decision that it was a mistake to set a date certain for withdrawal?
Yeah, let me ask you, how many people here got kids? If you tell your kids that 3 days from now, I'm going to come up and I'm going to inspect your room, what do you think is going to happen all the way up until that point when that third day hits? And then what do you think is going to happen right after that third day? You know, you have to have what is called conditions-based operations. And let me tell you something. You can't make certain people like us. Just not going to happen. So we have to understand what is the good enough factor? What is the 70 to 75% solution? And then we have to move on. And I think that's what we must contend with. But I will tell you this. You're dealing with people, an adversary, and he's very patient. And he's going to wait you out. But you have to be flexible and be able to contend with him no matter what he tries to enact and what he tries to do with you. I think that reality is setting in with our president because I'm sure that he's getting phone calls from President Maliki over in Iraq as well as the Kurdish people up north who are really concerned about the United States totally pulling out of Iraq. And so I don't want to see, how many people remember what happened when we left Vietnam? Pol Pot, the killing field? Okay. This is one of the great things that I was happy about when I was in Afghanistan, watching little girls go to school. And I really do fear, if we don't give them a chance, what can happen to some of those little girls. But there is a window when we have to say we've done the best that we have done.
This question is from Roger in Davie. What is your reaction to the Department of Justice dropping any plans to prosecute CARE, the Council on American-Islamic Relations?
Well, first of all, I would ask, why did you drop it? Drop that case, and I think that that is something that the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Representative Lamar Smith from Texas, would need to probably call Attorney General Holder over and have a congressional hearing on.
I have Michael out of Fort Lauderdale asking, can you support the flat tax and the fair tax to save $1 trillion a year in tax compliance, tax planning, and this?
Well, I think the most important thing is that, you know, the fair tax, a national sales tax, you know, that may be an end result. And what that is a consumption tax. You know, the number that's been thrown out there is like 23%. But my fear is this. If we implement something like a fair tax, and we don't make sure that we have eliminated all federal government type of taxation, then you end up having a value-added tax. Okay? You know, there's a lot of things that have to happen if you want to have a fair tax. You got to get rid of the 16th Amendment. You got to get rid of the IRS. And I'm sure a lot of people. But I think the thing that we can go to immediately without a lot of pain and angst is a flat tax. Personal income tax somewhere 15 to 17% across the board for everyone, and then also with, you know, the deduction for children. This is my concern. The progressive tax code that we have in the United States of America, that 67,000-page document full of loopholes, it lends itself to a system of class warfare. Because on tax day, 47% of wage-earning American households did not pay federal income tax.
How about GE?
Everyone, yeah, well, GE didn't pay any, and it had 77% profit. That's, you know, corporate tax rate. But we've got to make sure that Americans are stakeholders and shareholders in our country. So I think the immediate thing we can go to is a flat tax, and then maybe we can work towards a fair tax later on.
Okay, just 2 more questions. I have William out of Deerfield Beach asking, why can we not get a $20,000 tax credit to create demand to pre-start the housing market?
I don't see why we couldn't. I mean, I will take that back, and and I will sit down to the folks in the Ways and Means Committee, Chairman Dave Camp, and I'll present that to them.
Okay, and the last one that I have is from Robin, also out of Deerfield. And her concern is that when speaking to many in the healthcare profession, she's told over and over again about Medicare fraud and misuse of funds. So how can this be addressed without increasing the federal government tax?
Without increasing the federal government, I think one of the things we can look at is, having the states, start to look at how they can get in and, with the Medicare and Medicaid, fraud, waste, and abuse. I don't want to see us increase government agencies and bureaucracies. I sat down yesterday with some the folks from the ICE, and I looked at the organization chart for the Department of Homeland Security, and immediately I saw a couple of duplications where they have a cybersecurity division. How many people realize that the United States military just stood up Cyber Command? So it's those type of things that, I want to see how we can reverse the scope and the size and the growth of the federal government. How we can help the states to start controlling and cleaning up some of these fraud, waste, and abuses that we see down here. And, this pill mill thing, I think this is a great opportunity where the federal government can look how it can support a local government like here in Broward County. This pill mill thing, this is dangerous. I mean, a lot of people dying every day. I-75 is becoming a death trap. Kentucky is screaming because we're the #1 supplier of this. We don't need to create a federal government agency. We need to look at how we can help to resource the local governments.
This is our last question of the evening, Congressman. Thank you very much for affording us your time tonight.
No, my time is your time. You don't have to thank me for that.
Thank you. This comes from Frida in Hollywood. Her question is, are there any plans in Congress to mitigate the effects of the so-called Food Safety and Modernization Bill, which the Republicans helped to pass during the lame duck session?
I can tell, I don't think that right now we're looking at that, but I will take that back. I don't know which committee that would fall in the purview of, but we'll try to look and see that, once again, we cannot give you more regulation. That's the last thing we need to do from the federal government. Let me close by saying this. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to represent the people of Congressional District 22. And I mean every person in Congressional District 22. Because if people don't believe that my only concern is to make sure that their life, their liberty, and their pursuit of happiness is protected for themselves and for future generations, then they don't know who I am. So, as I said earlier, I kind of been shot at, almost blown up, used to jump out of airplanes in the middle of the night. It takes a whole heck of a lot to scare me. But at the end of the day, every one of you should know one thing. My honor, my integrity, and my character will remain intact and will remain my own. So God bless you all. And I still have time to make the Chick-fil-A.
Good.